Obviously, in the fourth round back here in Miami, and you'll get to face Karolína Muchová, I believe, for the first time. Just what are your thoughts on playing her? She won in Doha or a month ago. Just your initial thoughts on playing her.
Yeah, I'm really excited. I haven't thought about it much. I haven't had time to think about it much, but she's obviously a great player and is doing really well. A couple of years back, I watched one of her finals, and I was I was really impressed. So, to be put in a position to compete against her is a real privilege and gonna be a test for sure.
You like to mention the phrase "spoonful of gratitude" and how you kind of embraced that throughout the past year, and this was a place where it kind of made your breakthrough moment. Just kind of where do you when you mention that phrase, where does that gratitude come from?
I think the fact I recognize that I'm also blessed to be living my life or the life that I live. Of course, I've earned it. I've definitely earned it. I've put in the work. That's not to be questioned. But then again, I think it's so important to be grateful for what you have. I've witnessed poverty, in surroundings or in my surroundings. So, I don't take for granted anything, especially, family and my team and just the opportunities I'm able to have. So that's why I make it a point.
She was locked in, focused, prepared. Everything around Alex Eala in the lead-up to one of the biggest matches of her young career was serious, calculated, and deliberate. And then a fan walked up and sang her a song. Just like that, something shifted. The air changed. And in that one small, spontaneous moment, you were reminded that sport, at its best, is never just about tactics and scorelines. Sometimes the smallest gestures carry the most weight right before the biggest moments. So the question is worth asking. Does Alex Eala have what it takes to beat Karolína Muchová at the Miami Open? Or is this challenge arriving a little too soon? Let's set the scene properly. Eala has been at the Miami Open 2026 all week, and she has not been going through the motions. This has been genuine, high-intensity preparation, the kind that actually moves the needle. Victoria, Evalis, Mira Andreeva. These are not warm body practice sessions. These are sharp, demanding battles with players who compete at the top of this sport every single week. They trained through rain. They stayed on court when conditions pushed back, grinding through every uncomfortable moment, because that is what serious preparation looks like from the inside. And then, after one of those sessions, a fan walked up to Eala and sang. Spontaneous, personal, completely real. Eala smiled, not the polished, press-ready expression that athletes learn to wear in public, but an actual smile. The kind that tells you something genuinely landed. She said she loved it, thanked the fan, and carried that moment forward with her. Some might read that as a charming footnote before the real conversation begins. It isn't. It is the whole point, because what is building around Alex Eala in Miami right now is bigger than any single result. The crowds are responding to her. Fans are seeking her out. People are not just showing up to watch tennis. They are showing up specifically to watch her. That is not something a marketing team manufactures. That is something that happens organically when a player captures something real in people, when her story and her presence resonate in a way that goes beyond statistics. Eala has been doing exactly that. Her performances this week have looked different. More assured, more aggressive, more complete. There is a version of Eala that flashes her potential and then goes quiet, the one that makes you lean forward and then leaves you wanting. That version has not been present in Miami. The version showing up here has been stepping into the court, trusting her forehand as the weapon it was built to be, and playing with a level of belief that shifts the atmosphere of a match before it ever reaches a critical moment. Credit belongs partly to the preparation. Training alongside Mira Andreeva brings a particular kind of intensity that cannot be replicated with lesser opponents. Andreeva competes at the very top of the sport. She does not ease off to protect feelings. When you spend days grinding against that standard, your reflexes sharpen, your decision-making accelerates, and your ability to handle pace improves in ways that only happen through direct, sustained exposure. Those sessions don't appear in any box score, but they absolutely appear on court when the pressure is real and the moment demands a response. So Eala walks into her match against Karolína Muchová tactically prepared and mentally calibrated. She is warm. She is sharp. And she has a fan-sung melody somewhere in the back of her mind, reminding her that what she does connects to people in ways that extend well beyond the scoreline. Now, let's talk about what she is actually walking into. Because Muchova is not an easy afternoon. Karolína Muchová is one of the most uncomfortable opponents in the WTA draw when she is playing well. Tall, composed, and dangerously unpredictable, she possesses a first serve that, when landing consistently, generates free points with an efficiency very few players can match. She doesn't need long rallies to take control. One well-placed delivery, and she is already dictating before the exchange has truly begun. From the baseline, she is powerful and clean. Her forehand carries genuine weight, and she strikes it with a casual ease that disguises how hard it actually is to deal with. But the real difficulty with Muchova is her variety. She does not simply plant herself at the baseline and trade. She mixes in net approaches, deploys the drop shot, changes pace, and finds ways to end points that constantly interrupt any rhythm an opponent tries to build. There are echoes of Federer in how she navigates certain situations. Not in style exactly, but in the willingness to take the net, vary the selection, and close out points before they become a war of attrition. That variety is precisely what Eala cannot afford to let run freely. The tactical blueprint for Eala is fairly clear to anyone who understands both players. High balls to Muchova's backhand should be a consistent priority. It disrupts timing and invites errors from a side of the court where Muchova is noticeably less comfortable. Drop shots threaded into the pattern can be equally effective, pulling her forward and out of the baseline position she prefers. The critical thing for Eala throughout is avoiding predictability. If this match settles into a steady, one-dimensional baseline exchange, Muchova wins that version. She is at her most dangerous when opponents make it easy to read what is coming next. Eala must be the one introducing variation, not reacting to it. The serve will matter more than casual observers might expect. Eala's first serve percentage needs to stay healthy throughout the match. Consistent second serve situations against Muchova surrender the early ball advantage that Eala's game is built around. Slice serves wide in the deuce court can pry the court open and feed her forehand, which remains the centerpiece of everything she does. And that forehand is genuinely special. The years at the Rafa Nadal Academy left a specific imprint on how Eala uses that shot. Heavy, fast, with spin that pushes opponents deep behind the baseline, it is the kind of forehand that doesn't merely win points, it physically relocates people. It forces opponents to construct from uncomfortable positions on the court. That is not accidental. That is what the Academy produces. Movement, consistency across extended rallies, and the discipline to stay patient until the right attacking moment reveals itself. Against Muchova, that patience will be tested. Muchova is not the type to offer Eala comfortable mid-court balls to attack. She will work to shorten exchanges and finish before those grinding rallies have a chance to develop. Eala's ability to extend points, move cleanly, and defend under real pressure is going to be the physical foundation this entire match rests on. And then there is the part that doesn't always get discussed, but absolutely decides matches at this level. The mental component. Eala is young. That is simply a fact. But young no longer means inexperienced under pressure. Her performances on significant stages over recent months have revealed a composure that is uncommon for someone at her stage of development. She does not panic when a match turns difficult. She does not abandon her game plan because the opening games go the wrong way. She stays in her patterns, stays physical, and trusts that what she has prepared is sufficient to navigate the hard moments. That matters enormously against Muchova because Muchova's game applies pressure in waves. She can seize control of a set quickly when she finds her rhythm. If an opponent responds by tightening up, swinging harder out of desperation, or abandoning the approach that earned them the match, Muchova tends to win comfortably. The correct response is to do the opposite. Stay patient, keep executing, trust that consistent, high-quality tennis will eventually place Muchova in the uncomfortable situations instead. The momentum swings in this match will be worth watching closely. Neither player is built to simply hold serve and cruise. Both are capable of runs. The difference will most likely come down to who handles the turning points with greater composure, and based on everything Eala has shown in Miami this week, she is in precisely the right headspace to compete in those moments rather than retreat from them. For Muchova, the persistent concern is consistency. When her level dips, even marginally, whether through concentration lapses, movement, or a handful of missed first serves, the entire structure of her game becomes exposed. Her variety only functions when she is in full command of her shot selection. When the execution wavers, that same variety starts to resemble confusion rather than cleverness. Eala needs to recognize those windows quickly and be decisive enough to exploit them before Muchova resets. The longer this match runs, the more it tilts toward Eala. Her fitness, her movement, and her capacity to grind are all calibrated for exactly that kind of competition. But if Muchova keeps exchanges short and explosive, controls the tempo through her serve, and closes out points at the net when the opportunity presents itself, imposing her own style becomes significantly harder for Eala. Fine margins. That is what this comes down to. A fan sang a song for Alex Eala this morning outside a training facility at the Miami Open. She laughed, said thank you, and smiled the way you smile when something actually reaches you. It lasted 30 seconds, perhaps less. It will not appear in any scouting report or tactical breakdown. But sport at this level is partly mental. The way a player feels walking onto the court, confident, loose, connected to something larger than preparation alone, shapes how they perform in the moments that decide everything. Eala had a full week of serious work and one small, completely genuine human moment right before the match that mattered most. She is walking in with everything she needs. Whether that proves enough against Karolína Muchová, the court will answer that question. But the crowd already knows who they came to see. And when fans start singing before the first ball is struck, that tells you more about where Alex Eala is heading than any current ranking number ever could.